Oh, awesome.
Okay.
That was a good, what I heard, that was a good show you just did.
Oh, just there, just
Yeah,
now?
that was good.
Oh, I appreciate it. All right, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Well, welcome back to my podcast, The Krueg Show, our first edition of The Krueg Show. And you say, well, what exactly is this podcast? What are you going to do? I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And that's the beauty of the podcast. I get to do whatever I want to do. And there are no commercial breaks. We go as long as we want. We talk to who we want about what we want is for as long as we want. So it's like the world's greatest radio show, minus the commercials. Now, one of the guys that I had the distinct pleasure of meeting in the last year is our next guest, and that's Mark Devito, who, one of our sales guys here at KNBR hooked up a sponsored a bar night at one of Mark's bars. Mark owns a number of bars here in San Francisco. And we were at his place on Mission Street called Cease and Desist, and we had a great time. We had a phenomenal pizza. We had some drinks. We were there watching the Warriors in the playoffs. This is last year, believe it or not, their first go-around, in their first run to the title. And we had a great time, and the vibe in the place. Me and my buddy Len Dempsey were in there, and the vibe in that place was awesome. The music was great, the food was great, lots of young people having a good time, cool inner city kind of hipster vibe. And I just thought to myself, man, we gotta get Mark on, and we gotta talk to him. And then I realized after talking to Mark that this wasn't his only bar, that he owned a bunch of different bars around the city. And then we talked about the possibility of doing a bar crawl. Anyway, so one of the segments, the regular parts of this podcast, is going to be, we're going to talk to you, the audience, about cool places in this city and in the greater Bay Area, cool bars and restaurants and clubs and things that you may want to check out. And if you find out about it on the Krueg Show, all the more power to you. So I think it would be a cool thing to do. And Mark is here with us in studio to talk a little bit about his life and how he arrived at being a multi-bar owner in this phenomenal city we call San Francisco, California. Mark, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we met about a year ago at Cease and Desist, and before we get into all the different bars you own, I think your story is really interesting. You were born and raised, you're a New Englander. You're born and raised in New Hampshire, attended St. Paul's School for high school there, and lived on Martha's Vineyard. Family money?
Hardly, man.
Right.
I was a mover.
Okay, yeah. You were moving trucks up and down the East Coast. But you went to Hamilton College in New York, and you got an honors degree in religious studies. And I was just reading your bio. You played soccer and lacrosse. Now, I played lacrosse for Sacramento State.
Great.
And I was a crease defenseman.
Uh-huh.
And I used to play long stick midfielder as well.
I was... Despite my physique, I was actually very fast.
You were an attack man
or
midfielder?
No, I was a long stick midi,
okay.
Man down defense, occasional midfield. But it was just knock the ball out of their stick, scoop it up, and I would be down at the other end of the field.
Was Hamilton College, were they a lacrosse power? And I always my friends who live back east, they'll tell you that Virginia and Maryland lacrosse is much more pass oriented, where New York lacrosse is more hitting. There's more hitting in collegiate and high school lacrosse in the state of New York than there are if you go to Virginia or some of the other hotbeds.
Absolutely, yeah. I started playing lacrosse in high school, and we were just in New England, and that was very much modeled after the Mid-Atlantic style. And I got to college with all these guys from Long Island, and they just pummeled people. It was amazing. Guys my height just laying out guys a foot taller than them. So that was really fun. Also, great to be fast to get away from those hits. But yeah, Hamilton was a program that really we had a terrible coach my freshman year, who did not inspire anybody to stay on the team. By senior year, we had a great coach, and we're contenders in the playoffs. And a few years after I left, we won the entire divisional playoffs. So Hamilton College is now a decent D3 college.
We're talking to Mark Devito, who's joining us on the Krueg Show, and he's going to tell us about some of his bars. Now, we went to Cease and Desist on Mission Street. What year did you buy Cease and Desist? How long have you owned that?
Owned Cease and Desist for about a year and a half. We bought it in late 2014, finally opened it up early 2015, under a different name, which I can't mention. Or else I may get another cease and desist.
And actually, that's what you told us that night. That's kind of how the name came about for cease and desist.
That's what
right?
happened, and it was great, and it felt like a great bar name, and it's a fun story, and people really get behind it. We do have a very organic, loyal following down there. So the
how does a guy,
were
how does
fired
a guy
up.
from a small school in New York with a religious studies major wind up being a bar and restaurant owner? I mean, where was this in your family? Or
No,
what led
not
you
at
down
all.
this path?
I had my senior year in college. We had Clinton, New York, where Hamilton is, very small. The school is 1,800 people, and the town is 1,800 people. So it's this interesting mix. And there are 2 bars in town. And one of the bar owners, I made friends with him over the summer. Was working on his farm. And he said, "Hey, you ever want to bartend?" And I said, yeah, I want to be the one college kid who gets to bartend at one of the 2 college bars in town. It was great for many reasons, I'm sure you can imagine. So I started doing it for fun, and then played in a band for a long time. That was the reason I moved to San Francisco.
What'd you play? Guitar?
Played the
sax?
drums. Played the drums. Yeah.
Okay,
drums and accordion.
Is it true that they always say the drummer always picks up the hottest chicks?
Oh, absolutely.
Is that
yeah, you should see my fiance. Definitely.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
The other 2 guys, I can't speak for them, but no, that's a joke if they're listening. But yeah, I was a drummer for that, but was always bartending and just managing bars and restaurants for people to offset the costs of being in a touring band. And it came pretty naturally, and it was very fun, and I love people. I love talking with people, and what better way to do that than to own a social place.
What was the first bar that you owned?
The first bar I had ownership in was Bullet on Russian Hill.
Okay,
So
now now this is Russian Hill, like Union Street?
A few blocks down, Polk and Vallejo.
Okay, Polk and Vallejo.
Great little spot there. We opened it up in 2009.
I'm trying to Polk and Vallejo. I'm trying to think. Is that near?
It's in between Union and Broadway, so it's
okay.
just a little side.
And there's a lot of bars there. There's a lot of competition.
Great strip of bars right there. Not even competition, just camaraderie. The more, the merrier. You guys all get along, or is it pretty cutthroat? Everyone gets along. All the owners kind of understand you want to bring the community together and make a destination, a place where someone just gets dropped off from a taxi and they have choices and they're going to have a good time in all of them.
Well, it's interesting reading your bio. You play soccer and basketball 3 to 4 days a week. How old are you these days? What are you?
I'm 35 now.
You're 35. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're a relatively young man. I've got Gary and I have this rule of thumb. If you're 40, get off the court. That's Gary. That's Gary's theory. If you're 40 years old or older, get off the freaking court and let the kids play.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
So you own Cease and Desist on Mission Street.
Mm-hmm.
You own Bullet and Russian Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2 of your bars.
Yep.
Where are your other bars?
I also
in the
have
city?
Dr. Teeth on Mission Street, 2 doors down from Cease and Desist.
Okay.
So that was the first full ownership bar I had. Bullet, I was an equity partner, and Dr. Teeth was first full ownership, and it's another great spot. We opened that in 2011, I believe, and it's got just a great San Francisco vibe to it.
All these bars are different motifs, right? Different themes.
Yeah, they're all different themes. They're all slightly different menus. They're all designed to be very comfortable, and we are absolutely not exclusive. We welcome everybody to come in and have a good time, as long as you're not a jerk.
There you go. What's the key? What's the key? If somebody's listening to this and they're saying, "Man, someday I'd like to be a bar owner. I'd like to own my own bar, my own restaurant." What is the key?
Well,
what's the key to making money? Anybody can open a bar restaurant. What's the key to actually having success doing it?
You should have done it for somebody else first. I see a lot of guys who make some money and they say, "Oh, this is going to be cool. I want to own a bar," because they want to walk in the door and say, "I'm the owner," and that they think that'll get them laid, which it may, but it's not going to make them any money.
Right.
You should really have learned from somebody else. There's a lot of intricacies to running a bar. It's not just unlocking the door at 5 o'clock and selling drinks. There's human relations and both with your staff and with customers.
I've heard don't hire your family members.
Do not hire family members.
Try to find an attractive bartender.
That works.
That works.
That works.
That works.
That works. But there's also, when I interview people, I'm looking for personality more than anything else. My interview questions are rarely related to, do you know how to make a Manhattan? It's usually about, what's the last book you read? Can you tell me anything about the local sports teams? Can you, anything to kind of get them
show
talking
that you're a
to
human
me.
being.
Yeah, show you're a human being. And if they can't talk to me in an interview, they definitely aren't going to be able to talk to a patron at the bar.
Yeah.
So my business is always about, if you do have 50 options to go to in the night, my staff is what's going to bring you to my places. Because you can sit down, you can talk to them, they'll treat you like a king. Even if they don't know you.
That's great. We're talking to Mark Devito, bar owner and KNBR sponsor, and he's with us on the Krueg Show as we talk a little bit about his career and his businesses. Now, you opened a brewery as well, or
I am in the process
of opening a brewery. It's called Standard Deviant Brewing.
That's correct.
Where did the name come from? We got to go there.
My business partner on that one comes from a science background. So standard deviant's a play on standard deviation. So that gets his geek side gets to have that. We're also located right across the street from the Armory building, home of kink.com. So I figured standard deviant would play up that neighborhood with all the deviants down there. So it's kind of a neat play on words. It gets the neighborhood, it gets his background. It also isn't an existing brewery, which shockingly there's home brews and small microbreweries everywhere in the country, and just about every name has been taken at this point.
Now, I would imagine sports are a big deal. I know we were there on a night where the Warriors were playing a playoff game, and I think it was finals actually, and so it was packed and tons of Warrior fans. What is this Warrior run done for a business owner like yourself? I mean, because you're depending on young people to want to come out in number in community and watch TV and watch sports and sit there and drink beers and kind of celebrate. And I would imagine the Warriors have to just be an awesome thing for you guys.
It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. It's I think a lot of people want to come watch with others. It's the same reason you go to a game if you can. Yes, you can see it live, but the energy that's there is so much better than being on your couch. So we like to create an environment where people can come in. We've got our Warriors flags flying all through the season. Every time the Warriors play, we got bobbleheads, we do giveaways, we do all sorts of stuff. We've actually partnered with the Warriors Foundation through these playoffs. At Bullet, we're doing a fun Pop-A-Shot thing where we've got a little basketball hoop behind the bar, and you get a ball.
Cool.
And for $2, you can shoot the ball, and if you make it, you get a piece of Warriors swag and a Jello shot. And if you miss it, you get a Jello shot. And all of the money goes to the Warriors Foundation. And we're doing a similar thing at Cease and Desist, where you can roll some dice and it tells you what you're going to drink, and then you roll a yellow die as well, and that gets you Warrior swag, and all that money goes to the foundation, which promotes education, and they build basketball courts, and they do all sorts of stuff for the greater Bay Area community.
Now, you're a big sports fan. I would imagine in New Englander, you're probably a Sox fan. Are you a Sox fan?
I am a Sox fan. I'm a Pats fan. I don't want to kill your ratings right now, so I don't go too much into my.
Don't worry, we don't have any ratings.
There we go. First show. First show, right? Yeah,
you can kill nothing. There's nothing to be killed. We're just still in the creation mode. So, okay, you're a Celtic fan.
I've been a
Celtics
fan.
Celtics?
Oh, I'm feeling bad for them. Bradley going out is
That's right,
not
Avery Bradley.
good.
Got the hammy. It popped on him the other night.
Yeah, it didn't look pleasant. I've been there before. He was literally just running down the court and it popped. And
yeah.
I mean,
so but am I guessing right? Pats,
Sox, Celtics,
Red Sox.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome.
So it's been a fun decade or so. I grew up when it wasn't so fun to be a New England sports fan, and my father grew up in Boston, and was trying not to be too cynical when I was a kid about being a Boston sports fan. But we lived through a serious drought without any baseball championships. I was actually living in Boston when the Sox won in '04, and that was incredible.
That must have been incredible.
It was incredible. It was. I think the game ended about 10:30 p.m. My parents live in New Hampshire. They're usually asleep by 9. I called my dad's house. One ring, phone answers, and he's yelling and swearing and screaming. And this is a calm man.
Right,
it was just finally, after 50 whatever years of life, has seen his team win. So that was really fun.